Liverpool Parish Church has seen countless wars in its 800-year history. Occasionally it has been very close to home, such as the English Civil War, when some accounts, though not necessarily very plausibly, say that the Royalists stored munitions in the church. A century later, during the 7 Years' War, the vestry agreed to a gun emplacement being installed in the churchyard in 1759, as the French privateer Francois Turreau headed for Ireland. The guns remained in place until 1772. The world wars of the 20th century changed the nation, and with it the parish church. Liverpool must have felt a long way from the Western Front, but the city was drawn into the conflict along with the rest of the country. Whilst the recruiting officers paraded their newly enlisted soldiers on St George's Plateau, the parish church looked for a new role. Initially this was primarily in memorialisation. The first such event was a memorial service on the 21st of October 1914 for Captain Ambrose Grayson, who was killed in action in France. Grayson had been a regular officer in the Royal Field Artillery before joining his family's shipbreaking company in Birkenhead. When war broke out, he rejoined his old regiment before going on active service. His memorial service was conducted by the Rector and attracted members of the business community. He is also commemorated on the La Tour Memorial in northern France. This was a service for a private individual, but the church also held services for the city. Lord Kitchener of Khartoum had been made a freeman of the city of Liverpool in 1902, and later, with his distinctive moustache, he became the most famous face of the war. This grainy photograph shows the civic procession into church from the town hall on the 7th of June 1916 for a memorial service. It was headed by 2 mounted police officers, followed by the state carriage drawn by 4 horses and containing the Lady Mayoress, attended by 2 footmen. Behind them came the Lord Mayor on foot, while other leading councillors followed, along with members of the Consular Corps. It was reported that the procession took the whole length of Water Street. Just a week later on, the 14th of June, there was a memorial service led by the Bishop of Liverpool for those who died in action in the Battle of Jutland on the 31st of May. This memorial service for the dead of the Liverpool Scottish Regiment took place on the 29th of August 1917. Although supposedly for all who had died, even the Liverpool Echo advertised it as the Captain Chavasse service, as the focus was entirely on the son of the Bishop of Liverpool, who had died on the Western Front. Captain Noel Chavasse, V.C. and Bar, was one of only a few men to have been awarded the Victoria Cross twice. He was an army medic, though also a former Olympic athlete. The preacher was Canon Lancelot, his former headmaster at Liverpool College, who said, "He might have been a great surgeon, he might have been a really great clergyman and medical missionary, such was the vision that floated before his mind from boyhood, but he was already a great Christian." The worshipping life of the church was also changed by the war. The congregation frequently sang the War Litany, and other national initiatives filtered into Liverpool life, such as the Special War Intercession, and on the 2nd of January 1916 there was a solemn day of penitence and prayer, at which a pastoral letter from the bishop was read in place of a sermon. Gradually, church life adapted to the new needs, such as taking regular collections for the Red Cross. It is no surprise then that when the war ended, the city should turn to the parish church for its service of thanksgiving. On Tuesday the 12th of November 1918, the Lord Mayor and Council assembled at the Town Hall at 11:45 in the morning and processed down Water Street and along the Strand to the parish church. The service included a sung-setting of Psalm 150, and the hymns "All People That on Earth Do Dwell," "O God Our Help in Ages Past," and "Now Thank We All Our God." The bishop preached a sermon which reviewed the previous 4.5 years of war, whilst also reminding the congregation of the need for forgiveness. The memorialisation had already begun. In 1917, a war shrine was dedicated outside St Peter's Church with a copy of this painting, "The Great Sacrifice," by James Clark, and a roll of those from the parish who had lost their lives. While city war memorials were built at St George's Hall and the Hall of Memory at the Town Hall, civic Armistice Day services took place at St Nicholas's, and from 1932 there was an annual Garden of Remembrance in the church gardens. Inside the church, a war memorial chapel was constructed in 1930. and one wonders whether the Second World War might have been quite similar for the parish church. The rector of Liverpool at the start of the war was the Reverend David Railton, a former army chaplain and already famous for having come up with the idea of the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier in Westminster Abbey. In December 1940, an incendiary bomb fell on St Nick's. The tower remained relatively unscathed, but the roof and galleries were destroyed. This was followed by a further bomb in the May Blitz of 1941, which destroyed much of what was left of the nave. The thriving church life from before the war was brought to an abrupt halt, but a much reduced congregation kept worship going at a religious house within the parish. By 1942, the building had been cleared sufficiently to resume services after constructing a sanctuary in the space under the tower, which is now used as a sacristy. And whilst in this photograph the congregation had to stand in the open air, a temporary building was later built within the church ruins until there was time and money to begin the rebuilding. Under a new rector, Ambrose Reeves, who was inducted into the life of the parish and his role as rector in a marquee in the ruins, parish life began to thrive again, as we can see from this picture of the parish breakfast from 1944. Deprived of a building, the parish church was restricted in what it could do, though the clergy remained active. It was Ambrose Reeves who was given the credit for resolving the Liverpool dock strike of 1945. The memorialisation of the Second World War had to wait 60 years, when the Liverpool and Bootle Blitz Memorial, a bronze sculpture by Tom Murphy, was unveiled by the Duke of Edinburgh in July 2000. Continuing the parish church's age-old role of carrying the memories and emotions of the people of Liverpool.